10 softball as we get ready for a huge series this weekend in Austin between number 12 Texas and 9th ranked Oklahoma State. But we had to wait a little while to get here, an hour and a half rain delay to be exact. But the tarp was pulled moments ago, and we should be ready to go in just a few minutes as the Longhorns and Cowgirls enter this game neck and neck in the Big 12 standings. Texas just 2 games behind Oklahoma State with 6 games to go in the regular season. Along with Megan Willis, I'm Alex Loeb. And Megan, this will be really a contrast in styles this weekend between a top 10 pitching staff in the nation, Oklahoma State, going up against a top 10 offense in the Longhorns.
Yeah, this is a matchup I've really been looking forward to. You're getting deeper into Big 12 play. Both of these teams, I think, pretty evenly matched, especially after what you just talked about. You got pitching in one hand and you got the offense in another, and it's going to be so exciting to see this Texas offense, see if they can keep what they've been able to do all season long against that sort of offense. Shannon Rhodes there, you see that career high, 15 home runs. She's chasing Taylor Hoagland, who had 18. Janae Jefferson at the top of the lineup. I think Janae Jefferson goes, this team goes, and they're going to really have to be put to the test as they go up against this incredible pitching staff that has a lot to do with Carrie Eberly and Kelly Maxwell.
Yeah, combined 29-3 on the season. They have been dominant this year.
Yeah, as you look at that, it's a sub-1 ERA for Eberly. They both combined for that perfect game earlier this season against North Texas. Both of them contrasting styles. They've got great changeups, but it's all about how that they're able to keep command of that strike zone throughout an entire game.
But Oklahoma State has a dangerous offense as well. They are averaging 6.5 runs per contest, led by the power-hitting Haley Busby in the cleanup spot.
Yeah, this is an offense that you're going to see their #1 hitter leading the team in the batting average in the 9 hole. So if that tells you something, Alex, this is a team 1 through 9 that's able to produce. They've got the speed at the top and the bottom of the lineup, and they've definitely got the power there. As you see, 14 home runs for Busby.
They'll be facing Shea O'Leary in the circle as she makes her 16th start of the year, Megan.
Yeah, you know, we didn't see a whole lot of her last weekend against Kansas. Probably, you know, wanting to give her a little bit of rest. So she should be ready to go here against OSU. You know, I think we weren't sure if they were going to go with Molly Jacobson or O'Leary. I like this start, though, again with O'Leary. See if her power and her speed that she throws, she can top out. As you see there, 69. She'll top out around 70 miles per hour. But her name of the game is she's got to keep the free passes down. Go right at these hitters.
Begins with a strike to the leadoff hitter, Kylie Naomi, the junior from Louisiana. Tremendous table setter for the Cowgirls, one of the top base stealers in the conference. Texas comes into the game at 35-6 on the season and 26-1 here at McCombs Field. Mike White, 105 wins so far in charge of the Longhorns. Now in his 3rd year. The 0-2. Oklahoma State, meanwhile, has been red hot in conference play. They've won a program record 11 straight Big 12 games. And they actually had won 12 in a row overall before falling on Tuesday night to Wichita State 3-2. Naomi fouls one back.
Yeah, you know, I think that was I don't know. I don't want to call it surprising, right? Because Wichita State has been a top 25 team. They just fell out of the poll this week. But I think the fact that they're able to go in, they kind of forget that. But that's the second time they've lost to Wichita State. So it's something Wichita State certainly has on their neighbors.
O'Leary starts off the day with a K.
Yeah, I think right from the get-go, O'Leary looks like she is zoned in. The way that she's been able to command that strike zone, you saw her go that drop ball both sides of the plate when she needed to get it away on that 0-2 pitch. It was a great ball. It was just a few inches off the plate. So if she can stay like this, I think she's going to have a strong performance today.
Now facing Cheyenne Factor, the junior from Yukon, Oklahoma. Big swing and a miss from Factor.
I think the reason why I said earlier, you know, where they're going to go, Texas going to go with Jacobson is because Coach White thought, you know, maybe it's OSU having a hard time with the lefties. Wichita State, both of their wins, their pitchers were lefties in those. Again, with that way she's moving that curve and that drop away from these batters. That looks nice.
Throwing heat right now is O'Leary, who picked up victory number 30 of her career last Sunday, improving to 30-5 during her tenure with the Longhorns. O'Leary's only allowed 1 run in her last 3 appearances, kind of alternating starts with very impressive relief appearances. Picking up a number of saves for Texas this year out of the pen.
Yeah, I like her as a closer as well, especially when she's throwing hard, right? I think that's the look. You got someone coming in like a Randy Johnson coming in for the final 2 innings, and it makes you even that harder to pick up.
Ahead of Factor here, 1 and 2. Oklahoma State came into the game with a top 20 batting average in the country and 19th in the nation in runs per game. And that one got a piece of Factor.
I like that O'Leary's trying to establish that inside part of the plate. That one just gets away from her.
It's the 12th batter she's hit this year, tied for the most on the Longhorns. So 1 on, 1 away for Allison Febri, the transfer from Georgia, coming off an All-American season a year ago. In her first year with Oklahoma State, led the team in batting average, and that one high and inside to another Oklahoma State hitter.
Yeah, that one was close. I think she saw her life flash before her eyes there. See her big old eyes after that. But Febri, what a huge pickup for Oklahoma State.
She was one of the top home run hitters in the nation last year, but flies out to right for the 2nd out. Some defensive changes for Texas in this one, as you see the freshman J.J. Smith getting the start in right. Next to her in center field, Caitlin Washington making just her 2nd start of the year in center. Lauren Burke in left. Shannon Rhodes over at 3rd, meanwhile, getting her 7th start of the season at 3rd base. Parker, Jefferson, and Sullivan rounding out the infield, and Iakopo behind the dish. Here is Haley Busby. Home run swing and a miss.
You see Iakopo back behind the dish. Last weekend against Kansas, J.J. Smith behind the dish, mainly because a little arm soreness getting late in the season. So they wanted to give Iakopo a little bit of rest.
0-2 from O'Leary.
Can't help but mention that gear, though, Alex. Obviously, I'm biased for catchers, but it looks like they got a new set of gear. That gray looks good. A little ombre action, lighter up top.
Is that the Willis line? 0-2. We've seen a number of players start behind the plate for Texas this year. Iakopo, Sullivan, Ellsworth, as you said, Smith.
Getting a little greedy. I've never seen so many starting catchers. All of them could be starters on just about any team out there.
Busby stays alive. Again, such a crucial series for both of these teams. Texas 9-3 in conference play. Oklahoma State 11-1. Here's the 1-2 with 1 on, 2 away. Lifted to the gap in left center. That'll drop past a diving Washington, and Oklahoma State will grab a 1-0 lead.
You know, the game always knows, Alex, and this has been a theme for Texas. I feel like all the big hits go right to the new player on the field. This ball is well hit, don't get me wrong, but I feel like maybe Shannon Rhodes is able to come up with it. I like the effort out of Caitlin Washington. That's all that she could do in that play. Lauren Burke able to back her up. But again, just her 2nd start in center field. Usually when she plays outfield, she's a left fielder, not having to cover that much ground. But for Haley Busby, hit it to the perfect gap.
Sydney Pennington takes one to deep right. Smith looking up, that bounces off the wall. It's going to bring home a 2nd run and consecutive RBI doubles for Oklahoma State. 2-0 Cowgirls.
Well, how about Oklahoma State? I think for a while there, those first 3 hitters, O'Leary kind of had him guessing. Here, not so much. Pennington all over that drop ball away, just shy of getting a home run. Again, the fence here in Texas, she's getting it out there probably around 210. A lot of fields are only 200, 210, but it's a 10-foot fence.
Mike White with a few quick words for Shea O'Leary. And already here in the first inning, action in the Texas pen. Molly Jacobson warming up. Oklahoma State, keep in mind this year, they are 30-2 when scoring in the first inning. Here is Reagan Wright, the transfer from UT Arlington, who is starting to heat up at the plate. 9 hits in her last 10 games, including 2 homers. Rips one to left field. A runner rounding third. Uh-oh. Oklahoma State caught in a rundown, and the inning will come to an end. However, 3 hits for the Cowgirls, 2 runs scored, RBI doubles from Busby and Pennington. Texas's offense coming up. Mike White, 105-26 as Longhorns head coach. Offense, name of the game for Coach White. Texas coming into today with the 3rd best batting average in the nation. Currently averaging 7.4 runs per game, Megan. That is 7th best in the country as well.
Well, and they're going to need it, right? Getting the 2 runs right in the first get-go, but it's going to be all about Janae Jefferson and Lauren Burke. Have a weekend last weekend, 8 RBIs. Good enough to give her that Big 12 Player of the Week. They started her in the 5 spot, but after game 1, it was something we talked about going back to the Oklahoma series. Texas was not good with runners in scoring position. They were 0 for 8 with bases loaded up there in Norman, and she came up big time versus Kansas.
Here's Janae Jefferson leading things off against Carrie Eberly, the preseason All-American, who has not disappointed this year. 16-1 on the season with a no-hitter against Omaha. And she currently has the 7th best ERA in the country.
Eberly just so strong. She does it with that drop ball. She's able to locate really well. She gets ahead of the batters. But the other thing is she throws this rise ball, and Alex, she can throw it in 2 different spots. She can get it in there, called for a strike, and then she stair-steps it up. So that's one thing Texas is going to want to take note of. They're going to want to make sure when they read that ball up in the zone, they let it go. But if it's dancing like that drop ball,
wow,
that thing's nasty. That was a good-looking pitch.
It's a matchup of 2 of the top 25 finalists for USA Softball National Player of the Year. Janae Jefferson having another stellar season, hitting .456. Jefferson now just 8 hits away from becoming the all-time leading hitter in Texas history. 7 will tie Bridget Washington, who currently sits in the top spot with 254 career hits. Lifted to center. Factor is there.
And there was that rise ball. I use Janae Jefferson a lot so I can have an idea of how the pitcher throws, right? If you watch Janae Jefferson swing and miss, you got to know that ball's dancing because she does not swing and miss a whole lot. So I use her to gear up, you know, how Eberly or any pitcher out there is throwing. And I have to imagine that's exactly what the rest of this lineup does too. So they got to see there that drop ball. They got to see her kind of move the ball both sides of the plate, and at the end, a rise.
Here's Shannon Rhodes, just 3 home runs away from tying the all-time single-season record at Texas. Takes strike 1. No Longhorn in history has hit more home runs through their first 41 games of a season than Rhodes. Carrie Eberly coming off an outing on Tuesday night against Wichita State, in which she only allowed 1 walk and 1 earned run, but was still pulled after 4 in an eventual 3-2 loss to the Shockers.
Yeah, I think what we saw there, we saw some uncharacteristic errors for Oklahoma State that led to some of those unearned runs. What I liked when talking to Coach Gajewski, though, is he had a game plan. He knew he would, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he went in with the game plan that she wasn't going to throw the full game anyways. He wasn't wanting her to go the full 7. And I like that this late in the season, right? There's no need to go out and blow your ace's arm and continue to ride that horse, right, throughout the season. It's time for you to, you know, have other pitchers eat up some innings as well. And if you take the L, you take the L.
Ooh. Rhodes chased that one for the first strikeout of the game.
It's a good-looking rise ball as well. That time ahead of the batter, 1-2. No need to bring it any lower than the chest, and you just see how it hops right at the very end. So again, going with that rise ball up and in. Nice late break.
2 away for the reigning Big 12 Player of the Week, Lauren Burke. 8 RBIs in the 3-game sweep of Kansas. Hit 400 in that series. And also notched her 100th career RBI.
Harry Eberle, as you just saw, can top out at 70 miles an hour, but she's throwing that rise ball. Again, as I've mentioned, 2 different levels. Excellent drop ball that she locates almost with precision location. And then, of course, that changeup. There's that rise. That's a good hold by Burke. I think that's what, again, makes her so good, Alex, is she throws that drop ball and she just hammers the corners, right? That you're, as a batter, you're looking.
Saw some team pictures there from Kenny Gajewski's playing days with the Oklahoma Sooners baseball team. Won a national championship there. What a done his job as head coach of the Cowgirls. Here now in his 6th year, has improved their win total every season except for the pandemic-shortened 2020 campaign. And 2 years ago, took them to their first Women's College World Series in 8 seasons.
I think what Coach Gajewski's been able to do has just been incredible. And I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that knows Coach Gajewski, right? You knew what he was capable of. You knew the amount of respect that he built with that Florida team.
That one just foul off the bat of Richburg.
And so when he got that head coaching job right away, I think it was a no-brainer. Again, when you talk to the players that have played for him at Florida, you knew the respect that he garnered there. And then when you get to listen to how Coach Gasso really, thought so highly of him and where he's been able to train at under Coach Walton and Coach Gasso, along with his own, playing days and baseball background. Again, just not any surprise that he was able to build such a strong. I feel like it's like he's been there for years at Oklahoma State now, right? You think about the programs that he has. Yes, it's been 8 years, but when Samantha Shao got there, she brought a lot of excitement. You had the the bat toss after the home runs, right? And you just knew all of a sudden this was a coach that was able to create an atmosphere and a chemistry that these players just love.
Prides himself on pitching and defense, and right now Oklahoma State top 30 in the nation in pitching, defense, and offense. Again, an impressive 36-6 on the year. 1-2 to Michaela Richburg. Power hitting senior fouls another one off. Top 5 ERA in the country. And again, a complete team this year he has put together, hoping to make a run. 7th pitch of the at-bat, and Richburg takes it to left. That's already the 4th hit of the game, and we're only through 7 batters.
And it's the last 4 hitters. So again, you're watching an offense that are making adjustments. Each batter, they got a lot of looks from the top couple hitters, and all of a sudden they're swinging first pitch. I think they take note right away. Okay, O'Leary's going after these hitters with a strike away. And what do you see him doing? Swinging first pitch, going with the ball. That's what we saw out of Sydney Pennington. That double to right field.
At the plate now, the sophomore from Moore, Oklahoma, Carly Petty, hitting .289. And just a terrific defensive second baseman as well. Keep talking about their pitching and defense. They are loaded offensively, top to bottom. Even when we get to the 9-hitter, Chelsea Alexander, she's actually leading the team in batting average on deck.
Yeah, you got that speed at the bottom there, and he likes her down there because she can turn that lineup over.
Rhodes charging in on the failed bunt attempt, one away. Well, here is Chelsea Alexander, the senior from Ada, Oklahoma, having a career year, leading the team with a .421 average, and has been perfect in stolen bases, 12 for 12 this season. Rhodes again charging in, barehanded, and gets the speedy Alexander for the second out.
You just can't talk about it enough, Alex. I think that's such an incredible play for, again, a normal starting center fielder to come in with the confidence. Yes, she's played plenty of third in her time. You don't just pick up a ball barehanded like that without having practiced it. She has started plenty of games there at third, seasons at third even. But to do it within a season, and you're talking about the different arm slots and release points from a center field position to third base. Just, I think, so athletic.
Kylie Naomi turns one foul. Naomi, the only strikeout victim of the day so far. A .363 hitter, has driven in 24 runs on the season and also leads the team in walks. This is a veteran, experienced Oklahoma State team. Only one underclassman in the entire starting lineup.
Hasn't gotten caught up in the home run race, right? Like, I think between her and Shannon Rhodes, it's easy to do sometimes as a hitter, and instead she's really gone to work and focused on the outside half of the plate, where that was maybe, if you were going to give any sort of rating, that's where she was struggling with, right? And I think in the past month or so, you've really watched her just really lock in on that side and see the ball deep and drive it right center. So maybe not getting those home runs, but man, she's getting a couple doubles right center. She's just looking stronger and stronger.
You mentioned the home run race. She is 2 behind Rhodes, but Iakopo still on pace to break Taylor Hoagland's record as well. Swing and a miss. Carrie Eberly in the circle, meanwhile. Now, this is a player who 2 years ago was the ACC Pitcher of the Year, 25-8 for Virginia Tech, and then immediately transferred after that season. After graduating in 3 years, as Iakopo lays off that one. Part of the reason, she said, is because she wanted to be a part of the molecular biology program at Oklahoma State. Wants to get her master's in that, and they have one of the best programs in the country in that department.
No big deal. You don't hear that every day, not from a lot of athletes.
Gets Iakopo to ground out. Yeah, a talented and brilliant pitcher in the circle for the Cowgirls, has retired the first 4 she has faced today.
Yeah, and Coach Gajewski kind of let us in on a little bit last week, you know, just someone who he says is very calm, cool, collected, not showing emotions, but he knew she was having a bad day. And so he sits her down and was like, no, you know, really, what's going on? And it has everything to do with not sure. She knows that's why she came to school here. She's, you know what, she's going to get her degree in, but she's not sure she's ready to hang up the cleats, right? And so you're coming to the end of your time. Are you really going to be done playing? We've talked about this a lot with seniors, right? What are you going to do after softball and when softball's over? He's like, you know, you don't have to make that decision right now. And it's like he felt like he could just see the relief come over her face. Like, you know, we've got this year left, but you're a great pitcher. You can play after. There's professional leagues out there you can play in. This doesn't have to be done. You're in a great position. You can give yourself another year before you start getting into the real world if you want. And I thought that was kind of nice just to get some insight on an athlete who, like you mentioned, transferred to go to school because of a specific degree, so has goals well beyond softball. But at the end of the day, when you're an athlete, and you see the writing on the wall that your time as a college softball player, I think a lot of athletes kind of go through this mentality, like when it's over, it's over. And as a coach, it's your job to make sure they don't start going down that path well before season's even over.
Still has plenty of time to decide. Hoping to make a deep run into the postseason. 1-2 misses. 2-2 to Mackenzie Parker, who entered the day as the second best hitter on the team, batting .420. And this year has hit the first 6 home runs of her career, including 1 in the last game against Kansas.
Yeah, I think what she's been able to do at the plate has been pretty incredible, what you're able to do year over year. Again, I just can't help but talk about what Coach Steve Singleton's done for this Texas offense over the past 2 years. And a lot of it has to do with just building up that confidence. He's not out there preaching a huge, big change in your swing.
Ooh, Parker thought she earned the walk. Instead, back to the dugout.
And that's a close one. I think that's what Texas is going to have a hard time with, because Eberle does locate so well. She's just nibbling on the corners. The last 2 called balls. This one, I have to imagine, I see that off the plate. Great job by Wright behind the dish to get her glove around it. I think that has everything to do with your catcher selling it. I do think that's a ball, so that's a tough one for Parker. But just that's the location Eberle brings, right? She can bring it over the plate if she has to, but if not, she is just going to live in that river.
Two-way for Courtney Day, hitting .333 on the year. Texas still looking for hit number 1. Longhorns tied right now with last year's team for the highest scoring squad in program history, 7.4 runs per contest. But again, what a matchup of great hitting versus great pitching this weekend between these two teams in Austin.
Yeah, and I think even though Texas doesn't have a hit, I think they're having good ABs here, Alex. I think they're swinging at the right pitches. They're not chasing a whole lot. We saw Rhodes did swing at that rise ball, but other than that, there's the changeup. We haven't had to see Eberle go with it a whole lot, but that thing's dirty.
Eberle 26-2 in her career with Oklahoma State, including the first 2 no-hitters of her career. 2-2 with 2 away. Another full count coming up.
I think you have to mention, when we keep talking about this pitching staff, Coach John Barkfeld, who came over from Tulsa, 16 years there as a head coach, now the pitching coach. This is his 2nd season with Oklahoma State. And Coach Gajewski had nothing but great things to say about him. He's calling the game. Just an incredible mind for those pitchers and how to call a game as well.
3rd strikeout of the day, and Carrie Eberle is cruising in the circle, has retired the first 6 batters she has faced for the Cowgirls.
Carrie Eberle goes down with that drop ball low and in, looking good. Team up 2-0, heading to the 3rd.
Welcome back. Don't forget, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Join David Pierce as he breaks down the number 3 Texas Longhorns baseball team in a big series across the street as well against Texas Tech. He'll discuss that series and look ahead to the Tuesday game coming up against Texas State. Although, I'm wondering now as I read that, how's he going to look ahead, Megan, if the show's on Wednesday? We'll find out on Game Plan at Wednesday. Now that's going to be a heck of a breakdown. Wednesday night on Game Plan with David Pierce at 7 p.m. on LHN. Cheyenne Factor leading off the 3rd inning for Oklahoma State, who got 2 runs and 3 hits in the first. But O'Leary settled down in the second inning, only gave up a single, and that was it in the circle.
Yeah, for O'Leary, I don't think really a whole lot changed, right? I don't think she's leaving anything over the plate right now. I actually think she still looks nice and strong. I think she has good velocity. That drop ball, she still has great location and command in and out. I think that had everything to do with Oklahoma State making quick adjustments.
Cheyenne Factor to right. Smith couldn't get to it. Cheyenne Factor. See Smith trotting back to right. Factor, a huge freshman campaign, helping Oklahoma State get to the World Series in 2019. Led the team in hitting as a freshman. A couple years ago, 338 with 9 homers, which tied the single-season freshman record for the Cowgirls. Putting together another strong season this year, hitting 388 and an unreal 739 when leading off an inning. That's pretty good, Megan.
Yeah, it's decent. I think, you know, you just keep talking about this team, and Oklahoma State joins just UCLA, Oklahoma, Long Beach,
there.
yeah, and James Madison. So there's 5 teams who rank in the top 20, both in team batting average and earned run average. So again, you're in the names of Oklahoma, who they have to play next week, who's #1, and UCLA, who's #2. So this is definitely a team, top 10, you're going to see go pretty deep in postseason, especially with the likes of Carrie Aberle and Kelly Maxwell as well.
Allison Febri takes ball 1. Febri last year in that shortened season finished 4th in the nation with 11 home runs, 11 homers in only 24 games. I mean, that made the top 10 list in program history.
Yeah.
And she didn't even reach 25 contests.
And I love the fact, and who knew, you know, just randomly when we're talking with Coach G, we're like, okay, so how'd you get her? You know, how'd this all come about? And he goes, she's the first kid I actually recruited to Oklahoma State. I love that story. She ends up going to Georgia. But he said the day he got the call that he got that head coaching job, he went to the mall and bought himself, you know, a shirt and a hat, I think, right away. And he said, and then I called Febri, see if she wanted to come play.
Yeah, he didn't have any Oklahoma State gear, so he went and bought the orange and black shirt at the mall there and made the trek over to Georgia. Unfortunately, didn't get her, but all these years later, finally got his player.
Yep, a Georgia kid. She wanted to stay home. You know, and then decided to get in the transfer portal. And the moment that happened, he said, choose mine.
Well, that is now 4 straight. Make it 5 in a row retired by O'Leary and company. Have you seen anything change in the circle from that first inning? Because they got 3 straight hits, including 2 doubles off O'Leary, but ever since then, they really haven't been able to get to her.
Yeah, no, I think, again, it's just this whole weekend's going to be about who makes the quickest adjustments. You know what I mean? Like that, well, that pitch right there, she did miss down the middle of the plate. I think for her, she's going to be happy that one, they let that one go by. But other than that, I feel like she still has good command of that drop and where she's been throwing the ball. And as far as that first inning, that was Oklahoma State. After 2, you know, quick outs that she was able to get, they were swinging first pitch. And so I think they just need to stay on that. So the adjustment in the last 2 innings, maybe not leaving that first pitch quite as close to the plate, spreading out the plate a little bit more.
Busby drove in the first run of the game in the first with an RBI double. Lays off the 0-2. Haley Busby tied for 23rd in the nation in home runs with 14, including 4 in her last 6 games. Sends one into foul territory.
Like the fact that she's going to that changeup. I think we knew with O'Leary you're going to see that from the first inning, right? She'll throw it a couple times in an AB. But it's even more important to use right now with a hot swinging Oklahoma State team.
We talked about Rhodes and Iakopo approaching the Texas home run record. Haley Busby 6 shy of Samantha Shaw's single season record of 20 home runs.
I remember that one at the very bottom, Courtney Toddy.
Washington makes the diving grab in center. Got a late break, but recovered nicely. The first 1-2-3 inning worked by Texas. Is Kawash making her second start in center. See what the offense can do. Still looking for hit number 1 on the day. The Longhorns trailing 2-0, but no stranger this year to come from behind victories. They have 13 of them on the season. The largest deficit that they've come back from to win is down by 4 earlier this year against South Dakota. Colleen Sullivan leading things off. Another Longhorn having a career year at the plate. Hitting .372, leading the team in doubles, and tied for the team lead in walks. Back up the middle. And there is hit number 1 of the contest for Texas.
You know, it's just a matter of time, Alex. This is, again, you're facing a pitcher out there with a sub-1 ERA. So she's not going to give up a lot of hits. But again, this is a Texas squad that can hit. And they're going to continue to put the pressure on. I feel like they've had the good at-bats we've seen. So it's just a matter of time. Again, they were able to put up some runs against Oklahoma. They were able to, you know, go in against Louisiana and LSU and get some runs too. And those are really the teams that just have been the only ones that test them, right? I think we see these huge numbers and how many run rules Texas have had. But again, you got to bring it back down to earth when you're facing some of these top pitchers, and it's not going to come as easy.
Caitlin Washington making her first start in 2 weeks. Awaits the 0-1. Sullivan late getting back to the bag. Oh, and somehow gets in safely. That was as close as you will find without being called out.
I thought she was a sitting duck, quite frankly. And I love this play for a catcher. Yikes. I think Texas gets away with one there.
Well, you did see Febre's glove hit the dirt before it actually tagged Sullivan. Whatever the case.
And that's a perfect executed play there. Again, first base is shifted back.
Reagan Wright.
Because it was a bunt, right, situation. So usually you have a little bit of extra time as a runner over there. But when your first baseman shifted back, you got to be careful.
That's a great defensive catcher behind the plate, and Reagan Wright, the transfer. The 0-2. Well, Caitlin Washington still sitting on 47 career doubles, 1 away from tying Jody Reeves for the all-time mark. Did come off the bench in Texas's last game to deliver a pinch hit home run in that victory over Kansas.
I think everyone was actually hoping it was going to be a double, but you love a back-to-back home run situation. She followed Mary Iacopo's home run.
Pokes one right into the glove of Pennington.
And big time, right? Because that's right when Kansas had tied up the game 8-8. There was a long half inning for Kansas, and then there was some debacle over the lineup card. The rule book had to come out. And because of that, I felt like it gave Texas that momentum back. Iacopo goes up, long AB, home run. Kawash comes up to bat, first pitch CCs, right away puts the team back up 2-0 or 2 by 2 runs, and Texas wins it 10-8.
That is correct. Here's J.J. Smith in the 9 spot. Mike White inserted her into the starting lineup about a week ago against Texas State, and it has paid off. In her last 4 starts, hitting .400 with a triple. 3 walks and 3 runs driven in, and probably more importantly than all that, the energy and moxie, as he put it, that he was looking for out of his team.
Yeah, you can't teach that. You can't teach excitement. You can't teach showing emotion, and not every athlete is going to play their best that way. But man, it's sure nice to have someone in that lineup to bring that energy level up. And it doesn't matter what age you are, right? If you're the freshman or a senior, when you got it, and it is fun to watch.
It doesn't hurt that she's hitting .425 as well.
That certainly helps.
Longhorns got a leadoff single from Sullivan. And that is all so far against Eberly, who has 3 strikeouts and no walks up to this point. Smith, second hit of the game, and the Longhorns in business here in the 3rd. Texas with a couple of singles here in this inning, and back up to the top of the order we go.
You know, Alex, this was also a theme for Texas last weekend. The bottom half of the lineup coming up big time. J.J. Smith was in the 9-hole last weekend, 8-hole. So again, probably having a lot to do with that as well. But I mean, when Texas scored, the way they were able to score in each of those 3 games, it all came from the bottom half of that lineup.
Mike White sending in a pinch runner for Colleen Sullivan. Ratcliffe taking over at second. So the freshman at second. And another first-year player at first in J.J. Smith. Here's the veteran, the All-American Janae Jefferson, hitting .452 and .457 this year with runners in scoring position. 0 for 1 today. That one misses outside. Jefferson has reached in 32 for last 35 games. This year, just a tremendous all-around hitter, and officially in a few more games will hold that title again, just 7 hits away from tying Bridget Washington for the most all-time.
Yeah, and what's crazy about, I think, with Jefferson is the entire defense will know she's going to bunt, right? There's no secret out there. She is a bunt and a hitter, right? She's not slapping a whole lot. So you can play in, and as you see the corners, they're going to charge that plate. But even knowing that her speed and the placement off that bat is just so good, she still finds her way on.
And really not taking any chances with her. Falls behind 2-1. Jefferson with 5 home runs this year, the first 5 of her career.
Yeah, they're definitely pitching her away, hoping she can hit it to that left side. They can get the force at third.
Called strike. Mike White has called her maybe the most underrated player in the country. And by the way, Oklahoma State's coach agreed with that. Kenny Gajewski said she does not get the attention that she deserves.
Yeah, I mean, any coach is going to say the same thing, right? You look at her numbers, you sit and watch her play. And
Pennington waits for it. And the runners advance.
you know, I think right now that's a win for Texas and for Jefferson, still being able to move those runners an extra 60 feet here, because now you got both runners in scoring position.
Here comes one of the top 10 run producers in the nation, Shannon Rhodes, tied for 8th in the country in RBIs and 13th in home runs, sitting on 99 career RBIs as a Longhorn. Struck out back in the first inning.
It's interesting. I was just going to say that's the first missed pitch that I've seen out of Eberle, and she's going to call a timeout right away there. Someone who does not miss her location a whole lot. So I like the fact that she's the one that calls that timeout and makes sure her catcher's on the same page with her.
Eberle, a pitcher who has thrown more than 730 innings in her career. 72 victories. Ready to go with the 1-0 to Rhodes. Ratcliffe on third, Smith on at second. Big swing and a miss from Rhodes.
And that pitch right there is the drop ball in, and you saw Rhodes swing right over top of it. That is such a good looking drop ball. You see the late break. You see even the rotation there. That is dirty.
Kenny Gajewski called it the best drop ball. Getting ready to face the 5, 6, and 7 hitters here to begin the fourth. Sydney Pennington leading off. Pennington, one of the greatest home run hitters in program history. 31 career homers, tied for the third most. 31 homers, 114 RBIs, and a tremendous defensive player at the hot corner as well. Drove in the second run of the game back in the first inning for the Cowgirls. Shea O'Leary, 1 strikeout, no walks. 4 hits allowed so far. It looked like she was in trouble late in that first inning with 2 outs. Gave up the run-scoring double to Busby. Right away after that, the run-scoring double to Pennington, a single by Wright. But Oklahoma State ran themselves out of the inning. And after that, O'Leary settled down.
I really like what O'Leary, again, the way she started this game, the location and command. But what's more impressive is...
It was a good effort there, but that didn't sound good.
I know. I saw everyone trying to help out right there. Hopefully it's just the sunglasses that fell off.
These are the true fans who waited out the hour-and-a-half rain delay to take this one in. Jefferson is there. 7 straight set down by O'Leary.
What I was talking about with O'Leary before that foul ball is she's establishing the inside part of the plate, Alex. And a lot of times we just see her stay away, away, away with that drop ball, every now and then coming in with the riser. But I like the location that she's throwing to these to these righties, and it's so important with these hitters.
This hitter, Reagan Wright, swings through that one. Singled back in the first inning. Now, Reagan Wright is a player who transferred over from UT Arlington, but she's the all-time RBI leader in UTA history. Skies 1 to center. Quickly, 2 outs here in the 4th.
Right fielder, number 32, Michaela Richburg.
2 away from Michaela Richburg. Went yard in her last game against Wichita State a couple of seasons ago. Hit 14 home runs, tied for the third most in a single season in Oklahoma State history.
Yeah, I think we just keep talking pitching defense for Oklahoma State. But as you have mentioned, this offense still number 17 in the nation, you know, in that batting average and the power that they're able to provide. This is an all-around team for sure. And again, why we're so excited to be here, why there is so much excitement when talking to Coach White and Coach Gajewski, right? They know what's at stake here, but they also know that they are so happy to be playing at the end of Big 12. This is gearing up for postseason play. It's a test that both of these teams, they wanted to have harder schedules, but COVID and weather had other plans for both of these squads.
Iacopo ends up with it. Second straight 1-2-3 inning worked by O'Leary. Texas still trying to get on the scoreboard with Burke. Lived up to billing, entered the game 16-1 on the year, the preseason All-American. And so far, 4 strikeouts, no walks, and just 2 singles allowed, Megan.
Yeah, and she's getting it done with all of her pitches. That last one, that changeup, but it's the command of that drop ball and how she's able to stair-step that away from these batters or inside if she wants to. But she stretches that plate out, and then, at the very end, she gets those 2 strikes. She goes up in the zone with that rise or that changeup, and just looking really strong out here today.
Look at those numbers all along the top of the rankings in the Big 12, second in ERA, but 7th in ERA in the nation, top 10 with that microscopic .84 number. Facing Lauren Burke here to lead off the bottom of the 4th inning. The junior Burke, hitting .330, has moved all up and down the Longhorns lineup throughout the season. Today batting third for Texas. LB to left center. There's going to be a double for Burke to lead off the fourth inning.
Yeah, this has everything last weekend, right? We talked about how Texas needed to. They're going to go ahead and check and see if she hits first. And they're going to call her out.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're going to say Lauren Burke missed first. Great hit. Love to see it. But they're going to say she missed first base when rounding. Take a look here.
It's tough to
Tough.
see.
You can't see at that angle.
Eberly was
but
kind of
it looked
blocking
like her
the view.
foot was right there. Oh,
Nope.
what? I think she touches it with her toe at the corner. That's exactly where you're taught to hit the bag.
Close call.
Oh, man. I just don't know how you make that call unless you're 100% positive, Alex. Wow.
We've seen close calls on both sides. Remember when Sullivan was called safe at first earlier? Let's get another look. Well,
I think she hits it. Yikes.
Iacopo crushes one to deep left. Number 14 for Mary.
No better way to answer on something that you could totally have taken that, you know, and you kind of throw a pity party. Love that Burke's out there to meet her too, man. That fires you up to have your teammates back. But again, this is that rise ball. She keeps it down. She throws it at different, and Eberly sees it right away. Iacopo all over that one. And like I said, no better way to respond. And that shows the resilience of this Texas team, Alex, because there's a lot of people out there and teams. It's like, man, nothing's going our way. They just called us out on a ball like that.
Well, Texas has suddenly found their stroke at the plate. 3 consecutive hits in this inning as Parker singles. By the way, for Mary Iacopo, that is now her 3rd home run in her last 12 at-bats. So she puts the Longhorns on the board, celebrates in the dugout, and Texas now with 5 hits, all coming in the last 2 innings. What have they seen this second time through the order against Eberly?
Again, it's just the repetitions, right? This is a team, they don't have these numbers. They're not putting up offensive numbers like this out of the blue. This is a smart hitting team. This is a team that's making adjustments. You're watching, even right there, they showed Coach Singleton and Iacopo chatting after the home run. They're taking notes and they're passing it along to their teammates.
Iacopo 1 home run behind Rhodes. Courtney Day, 4th consecutive hit for the Longhorns. A leadoff double by Burke, a homer by Iacopo, single by Parker, and now another single by Day.
Yeah, and it's hard not to think about that call, right, of Burke missing the bag, because game would be tied if she would have been standing on second. That would have been a 2-run shot by Iacopo. Coach White's going to make a change here, maybe a runner. See a couple pitchers out there getting ready.
Well, Colleen Sullivan due up. She's the one who started this stretch. I mean, Texas didn't have a hit with 2 outs in the 3rd inning until, or at least entering the 3rd inning, until Sullivan singled to lead it off. A couple batters later, Smith singled, and then just about everybody reaching in this 4th inning except for Burke, who apparently didn't touch first. Whatever the case, she was called out. Tedder takes over as a pinch runner, meanwhile, at first. Parker's on second, and here is Colleen Sullivan. Time called at the last second by Sullivan. First 2 seasons, she hit .239 and .273, and all of a sudden this year, that average jumping up to .379. Rips one foul.
Yeah, Texas just, again, second time through the lineup right now, Alex. They look like they have even more of an idea what to anticipate. I think for Eberle, you know, this is going to be between her and Coach Barkfeld. Are they going to change up their pitching routine? Not their pitching routine, sorry, just the way he's going to start calling. Are you going to start spreading the plate out a little bit more? Maybe start throwing balls in the first 2 pitches and then coming back with strikes. Seeing if you can get Texas to chase like that.
Longhorns now out hitting Oklahoma State 5-4. And the Cowgirls had won a program record 11 consecutive Big 12 games heading into today. Texas, meanwhile, trying to pull within 1 game of the Cowgirls in the conference standings. Two-1 to Sullivan.
Yeah, I think that, again, this is so important. They're so important on so many levels, right? I think you can go into Big 12 standing. You know that Oklahoma State has to play Oklahoma. That is always a dogfight, right? That's their biggest rivalries, that in-state rivalry. I feel like Oklahoma State has a chance to take 1, maybe 2 from Oklahoma. That's being greedy. They have a chance to take 1, I think, from Oklahoma. We've seen they can go down. Georgia beat Oklahoma. So you look at that, and that for Texas, you've got to win this series if you want a chance at being 2.
Sullivan to shallow right center. What a grab made by Factor, and they will double up the Horns. Just a tremendous play by Cheyenne Factor to end the inning, and the threat is over. We said this was one of the better defenses in the nation, and they were showing it there. The Longhorns at least get 1. Mary Iacopo with number 14 on the year. And we got a 1-run ball game in Austin. We'll be back. Well, Oklahoma State head coach Kenny Gajewski told us a few days ago, Megan, this was going to be a heavyweight fight. And so far, that is holding up. Oklahoma State with 2 runs in the first inning off O'Leary. Texas answering with a solo shot from Iacopo. That was maybe inches away from being a 2-run homer. But moments before that, Burke was called out for not touching first base. So here we go. You're fired up about that.
I'm still, mainly because I'm not saying umpires have an easy job, but, you know, to overturn a call like that, you want to make sure that you're there and position-wise. I thought that was a tough call. However,
big play.
You said it. I mean, I don't think this is a homer thing either, right? I think that's just the way this game is. And what I love about it is that it did not change Texas's momentum. Iacopo goes up and goes yard. And so I think that's what's telling about, you know, the character of Texas for sure.
Shea O'Leary, meanwhile, has retired 9 in a row. And Oklahoma State hasn't had a base runner since the 2nd inning.
I think my other question is, and this is probably for the stats, is what do you give Burke? Does she get a single?
That does not count. Does not count as a hit for her since she didn't touch first.
Huh. Okay.
So unfortunately, it doesn't show up, even though.
What did you write?
3U.
Okay, thanks.
The official scoring.
Did you know that?
I was told that. This one going into the Texas bullpen.
But I think if any indication, again, you mentioned it, Coach Gajewski mentioned it, Coach White, this is going to be a dogfight. This is going to be a fun weekend, 3-game series to just watch how both of these teams compete. And it's going to be about who can make the quickest adjustments, who can get up and take the punches,
well,
who's going to go like deeper in the round.
Who's going to make the first mistake?
Yeah.
Because right now only 1 run and 1 hit separating these 2 squads, no errors.
Well, and then, I mean, because of the way that inning ended in such an amazing catch from Factor in center field, we blow over the running error by Mackenzie Parker at second base. She just took off to third. The play is right there. You have to see the ball down. She was standing on third. She didn't tag up. She wasn't there at third. And so those are the miscues Texas definitely has to shore up.
So it remains a one-run game with the 7th pitch of the at-bat on the way to Carly Petty in the 8th spot. 0 for 1 popped up in the 2nd inning. And Shea O'Leary hits her 2nd batter of the game.
Yeah, that a rise ball, trying to ride it high and in, just gets away from her.
13th hit batter of the year for O'Leary. You got a dangerous hitter coming up, even though it is only the 9th spot. Chelsea Alexander leads the team with a .421 average. Has hit 300 or better in 3 of her 4 seasons.
That's what's pretty funny about this matchup, too. Both Texas and Oklahoma State, their 9 hitters hitting above .420 coming into this weekend.
Both top 20 offenses in the nation. Alexander lays down the bunt. By the time Rhodes picks it up, she throws it into right field.
You know, I thought maybe it just had nice backspin. I thought maybe the ball hit her in the box here. Nope, not even close. So just excellent backspin. Great idea from Shannon Rhodes. All she can do is throw on the run. But when the time she throws it, just wouldn't have a clear path to make it. You'd like to see her hold on to it.
So the bunt single results in Alexander over at first, and an error by Rhodes advances the runner Petty to third. Texas, we've talked about the defensive issues this year, entered the game 212th in the nation in fielding percentage, tied for 212. This is now the Longhorns' 9th straight game with an error. And by the way, Mike White, well aware of that. We have talked to him numerous times off air this year. Something they are trying to work on and improve. Back to the top of the order we go. Kylie Naomi in the leadoff spot.
I think, you know, Coach Gajewski, too, very candid about it in his team. And when he looks at their record, majority of those losses came from games where they had too many errors. And he just sat and talked about it. And he's like, and you know, I know Coach White's over there thinking about the same thing. What is going on? What can I do better as a coach to make sure we can shore up these little details? Because both of these coaches having goals.
Runner on first is going. And they got her. Wow, Parker somehow brought it down in time. Even the throw is a little bit high. But a nice play by Mackenzie Parker.
This has everything to do with the fact that Alexander goes to the back of the bag instead of straight in, and I think that's the right call. She's going to the back, slide by, nothing touches the bag, it's her hand, so that's absolutely the right call. And a big out for Texas.
Yeah, first out of the inning. Naomi. Parker is there, and more importantly, runner has to remain on third with now 2 away. Well, here comes Cheyenne Factor, the aptly named center fielder, who was a big defensive factor in the last inning. I mean, Texas with 2 in scoring position and 1 away makes the diving grab. And the runners took off, didn't get back in time, and that ended the inning.
You know, Iacopo not catching last weekend, arm tenderness. I'd have to say it feels pretty good right now, but with a game like this and the way the adrenaline's at, she doesn't feel it.
A dribbler to Jefferson, and the inning. Well, if Texas can rally for a victory today, they will pull within 1 game of Oklahoma State in the Big 12 standings. And again, the Longhorns after today, just 5 games remaining in the regular season, 2 more against the Cowgirls. And then the final 3 coming against Baylor next weekend.
Yeah, and I think you just talk about those top 3 teams and where they have been over the past, let's just say 5, 8 years. Oklahoma sitting at the top, right? And then it's kind of vying for who's going to be that #2 team. Oklahoma State sitting in the driver's seat for the most part. And again, I think this is a huge series for Texas to show that they are ready to take that next step. That they need to go ahead and try to win this series, assuming that Oklahoma State loses a couple to OU.
Longhorns lead the all-time series against Oklahoma State, but they have dropped 8 of their last 10 to the Cowgirls.
Yeah. Definitely in the driver's seat.
Caitlin Washington. Oh, and the two infielders, Petty and Naomi, collide. Slow to get up. Washington will end up on first, but a scary play momentarily right there.
Yeah, you want to see both of those athletes get up quick. Naomi's such a strong shortstop there for Oklahoma State. Petty a little shaken up.
One of the best infields in the nation, always among the top 20 in double plays turned by season's end. So Washington reaches for the first time today. And one more look at that.
I mean, nothing you can do there, right? Neither of them know. Really, I don't think you can call it, right? Because you're not sure if you can even get it. Both of them going after it. You love the effort. I mean, they are lucky. I think they're lucky that it wasn't worse and both of them ready to play.
Well, they are okay. And Megan, the hit parade for Texas continues. 4 of their last 5 batters have gotten hits, and really, Burke should have as well, which would have made it 5 out of their last 6. Here is J.J. Smith, who singled in the 3rd inning. Smith, who's been such a big emotional part of this team in her first season on the 40 acres. Top 4 on the squad in doubles with 6 of them in limited action, but now finally becoming an everyday starter, making her 5th consecutive start for Mike White.
Curious if he's going to bunt her. Some of you thinking, you're crazy. Not with that batting average, but we know we've seen him bunt Mary Iacopo, Shannon Rhodes. He needs 1 run right now, Alex. No outs. You want to get your runner into scoring position, especially with a Janae Jefferson coming up to bat next. Don't be surprised.
Three 3-0 all of a sudden from Eberle, who has yet to walk a batter today. Smith's so patient for a freshman.
Yep.
3 walks in her last 4 starts. We talked about the doubles.
That picture says it all, right? That's why she finds herself in this lineup. Yes, because she hits 2, but it's that energy. Coach wanted it. Coach got it.
There is strike 1 with Washington over at first.
First base shifted back. Not a bad move, knowing the power of JJ. That means third base and pitcher, you've got to be all over this bunt if she bunts.
Hitters count. Petty on to second for 1. We talked about them being one of the best infields in the nation at turning double plays, and there it is.
Classic 4-6-3 double play. They're hammering that inside part of the plate, trying to induce that ground ball, and that's exactly what they get.
A top 30 defense in the nation in fielding percentage. And Megan, as you mentioned, with Janae Jefferson coming up, huge for Oklahoma State to have the bases empty against one of the top hitters in the country. Jefferson still looking to reach for the first time today.
And I have to imagine Coach White is kicking himself. He's playing the odds, right? Usually everyone's probably against him. No, 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 you don't bunt in that situation. And then when that happens, man, if only you could go back in time as a coach sometimes. Predict the future.
Yeah, 2-way. Bases empty for Jefferson, who's hitting .448.
I like the way Wright works back there. I mean, that is definitely a ball that she is working so hard. Kind of a different squat. She's getting down there, that one leg put out. I'm almost certain you would compare that to like a Molina. Yadi, right? Yadier Molina at Cardinals catches like that, but it's about her glove. She gets around the pitch and so that she's always pushing the ball towards home.
Two-time All Sun Belt Conference catcher with UT Arlington. And she's thrown out 21 base runners over the last 2.5 seasons. Two-1 to Jefferson on the way. Eberle looking like a different pitcher over the last 2.5 innings, laboring a little bit. Now up to 70 pitches on the day.
Yeah, again, I think that's a little bit on purpose, Alex. When Texas is swinging early at the first pitch, now she's having to throw a little bit more balls, right? So she's kind of toying with them a little bit more.
4th 3-ball count of the game. And we go full. Again, both of these players recently named top 25 finalists for USA Softball National Player of the Year. Carrie Eberle and Janae Jefferson. Eberle has gotten the best of Jefferson so far today. For Texas, they're actually out hitting Oklahoma State 6-5, but trailing 2-1 where it counts. Horns with 1 error in the field, Oklahoma State with none. 7th pitch of the at-bat on the way from Eberle. Past Pennington to left field, and Jefferson now 6 hits away from tying Berger Washington for most all-time in Texas history.
And this just shows you Janae Jefferson's just how good her hands are. She stays inside of this pitch. She knows where she wants to drive it to that left side all the time. I mean, that ball is well inside, and she still can get it down past the third base side. So again, this ball's coming inside. She's not late. She gets her hands inside it to barrel it up and drive it past the third baseman.
Tying run at first. Here is Shannon Rhodes, who is due. Struck out in the first and struck out in the third, and swings and misses there. Eberle has had her number today, Megan.
Yeah, Shannon Rhodes. I think she started the game on, right? She was taking the right pitches, and then after that strikeout, even that third AB, just not able to pick up the ball when it's low, kind of guessing a little bit. Would have liked to see Janae Jefferson take second on that pitch.
Over to short, Naomi in time. So a single by Washington, a single by Jefferson, but that is it. Time becoming a factor as our pitcher Allison Febri, who will lead off the 6th inning here. Her former teammate at Georgia, Jordan Doggett, Haley Busby. So many talented players Gajewski has brought in.
Yeah, and he's the one who called it Transfer U. And you know what? It goes back to, again, showcasing. I think Samantha Shao really brought it out when she transferred there from A&M. This was a place that he was going to let his players be themselves. And I think people, when you talk with these athletes, that's why they chose Oklahoma State. Something they needed, you know, maybe they felt like they weren't able to be their best or play the way they wanted.
Allison Febri hits one to deep left center, and it clears the wall. Just like that, one of those transfers makes it a 3-1 Oklahoma State lead.
Febri with her 13th home run on the season, and truly, you felt like O'Leary had her number in her last 2 at-bats. She was able to get some fly outs out of her, just not able to square it up. This one, she gets all of it. Timing spot on, hands. I mean, that is a pretty swing.
That is the 45th home run of Febri's career.
You saw right away MK Tedder now in center field. That react too.
In a game like this, that could be the difference. Just a tight back and forth affair. Cowgirls scored 2 in the first inning. Iacopo delivered a home run in the 4th to pull Texas back within 1. And we're back to a 2-run game. Here's Sydney Pennington, 1 for 2, with an RBI double in the first inning. Now all of a sudden, after O'Leary had retired 11 in a row, 3 of the last 4 have reached against her. A home run, a single, and 1 batter hit by a pitch. Texas still out hitting the Cowgirls 7-6, but a number of big extra base hits for Oklahoma State. 3 run scoring extra base hits, a homer and 2 doubles. Two-way. The heart of the order has done the damage for Oklahoma State. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Febrey, Busby, and Pennington, have all driven in runs. Here is Reagan Wright, the catcher, who is 1 for 2 with a single. O'Leary with pitch number 80 on the day. Shea O'Leary with 1 strikeout, still yet to walk a batter. Through nearly 6 innings of work, and ahead 0-2.
Yeah, I really like the way O'Leary has looked in this game. I think she came out with a whole different demeanor, Alex.
Yep.
I know you see it too, and just so much more command. I think the way that she hasn't let the hit by pitches affect her, right? I think earlier in the season, we'll see, you know, one thing lead to another. I feel like, yeah, they were able to put together a couple runs in the first there, but still able to get out of it, and then just really went right back to work.
Wright thought about chasing that one, lays off. Rhodes fields it cleanly at third. And the inning comes to an end, but a leadoff home run by Allison Febrey, number 45.
Brought to you by American Campus Communities, where students love living.
Love the do there. I mean, that is stylish. Taking in the opener here. Hopefully we have a game tomorrow, weather permitting, at McCombs Field. We'll see. It's supposed to be a 3-game series with massive Big 12 implications here between the Longhorns and the Cowgirls. And it's Lauren Burke leading off the 6th inning. The last time she was leading off an inning, controversy in the 4th, as Texas for a moment looked like they could be in line for a big inning. But it was not meant to be. But first, the 0-1 from Eberle. Burke delivered what looked like a leadoff double, but as she was rounding first, she was called out for supposedly not touching the bag.
Yeah, and that's a huge difference maker for Texas right now. That is, I just don't know how you can make a call like that when 99.9% of runners are taught to hit a bag exactly like that.
The very next batter, Mary Iacopo, homered, but it was only a solo home run. And a 3-1 game. Texas, again, has rallied 13 different times this year for a come-from-behind win. Iacopo is on deck. Mackenzie Parker in the hole here in the 6th inning. And Texas out hitting Oklahoma State 7-6. And all of those hits coming over the last 2 innings make it 8 hits on the day for Texas. And this time, Burke is definitely touching the bag.
You know what else I liked about that? You know, again, Mary Iacopo follows with that home run, but who was out there at home plate to meet her? Lauren Burke. You know, just right out there, having her my back, because truly, as the athlete, I mean, you know you touch it if you feel it, but then you feel like such a bonehead, right? You're like, man, I I should be standing on second. Did I really miss the bag? And instead of just feeling down and selfish, she's right back out there with her teammates. So I love that react that we got to see too.
Mary Iacopo's home run went 241 feet. Again, her 14th of the year, 4 shy of tying Taylor Hoagland for the all-time record, 1 behind Shannon Rhodes. But more importantly, in this one, she represents the tying run. And timeout is called. Wright will head back out to the circle as Eberle falls behind. Said has looked like a little bit of a different pitcher over the last 2 or 3 innings. After retiring the first 6 batters she faced today in order with 3 strikeouts, has now allowed a season-high 8 hits. Again, in case you missed it, she came into the game with the 7th best ERA in the nation, 16-1 on the year as a preseason All-American.
A good pitch and a hitter's count too. Very surprised. Usually in those hitter counts, we see her just open up big time.
Eberle with the 2-1. Chopped back to the pitcher. Thought about second. There wasn't a fielder on the bag in time. So she gets Iacopo.
Unfortunately, I think that's where Petty wanted to be. But what I like, if you're not sure to make that throw, it's a good thing she didn't. Again, she's like, nope, okay. I'm still able to at least get one. Now, as a second baseman, sorry, I'm going to finish that. You're going to stand behind the bag because you're going to start moving as the throw comes. So you just drag your foot over the bag and then throw on the inside. Or she wants to stay back behind it, tag the bag, jump backwards. So either way, though, as a pitcher, if you're not sure, don't throw it.
Mackenzie Parker at the plate, 1 for 2. Single and a strikeout in front of that one. As we said, this is one of the better defenses in the nation, top 30 in fielding percentage, but all of their 6 losses have come when the defense falters. Half of their errors this year have come in just those 6 games, 16 errors. So they don't get beat too often. No. When they do lose, they beat themselves.
Mm-hmm. And so far, you're watching them play a very clean game. Mm-hmm. I mean, you saw that excellent grab by Factor in center field. That was huge. A momentum killer for sure. And then able to double up Mackenzie Parker on second. Seen a double play already in this game.
Parker has driven in 20 runs on the season. And again, Eberle starting to fall behind pretty consistently now to Texas batters. Count evened up. Mackenzie Parker, I mean, ever since she arrived on campus, has been a hitter. Hit .357 in the first 15 games of her career. Last year in very limited action, hit .400. Again, this year, second best average on the team at .422. Hoping to come up big here. But retired. And again, Texas runs themselves right out of the inning.
Yeah, that's a perfect place line drive right there. Fortunately for Naomi, makes it easy to just double up Lauren Burke on second. Oklahoma State up 3-1.
Been a pitcher's duel. Carrie Eberle, 0 walks. Both pitchers yet to walk a batter. Eberle with 4 strikeouts, 1 run allowed. Shea O'Leary has been strong as well, just 3 earned runs. O'Leary, out of the last 19 batters she has faced, has given up 1 extra base hit, but it was a big one in the last inning to Febri, a home run. So here we go in the 7th. Texas has 1 victory this year. When trailing entering the 7th inning, they are 1-2 in those situations. Here's Michaela Richburg leading things off.
Yeah, I think, and you go back to that last inning alone, that liner, Mackenzie Parker hits right into Naomi's glove, heading up the middle. Burke, with that secondary lead, had nowhere to go, and they get doubled off. A little bit of bad luck right there. Texas gonna have to find a way to get back in the 7th. They're gonna be where, I mean, where they want. The bottom half of the lineup, they've all gotten hits, right? Day, Sullivan, Washington, Smith all have singles.
That one.
Wow.
Took a rough bounce for Jefferson.
That you don't see very often. This ball is something that Jefferson fields in her sleep normally. So strong over at second base. It does take a little bit of a hop, like you said.
Fifth error of the season for Janae Jefferson. 54th error of the year for Texas. And Oklahoma State looks like they're going to send in a pinch runner over at first base.
For Oklahoma State coming in right at first base, number 22.
So Macy Concanon, the sophomore, takes over for Richburg. Carly Petty at the plate. Petty popped up in the 2nd inning and was hit by a pitch in the 5th. Lays down the bunt. Iacopo hustling from behind the plate. Runner advances to second. One away for Chelsea Alexander. Laid down a bunt single in the 5th inning. Oklahoma State with 6 hits on the day. That's it. Texas has 8. But 3 of those 6 hits have gone for run scoring extra base knocks. Alexander. Again, Oklahoma State trying to extend their program record to 12 straight conference victories. They had won 12 in a row overall before losing on Tuesday night to Wichita State. Two for 5 today with runners in scoring position. Alexander slices one to left, right at Burke.
Shortstop, Kylie Naomi.
A pretty efficient outing by O'Leary. Oklahoma State hasn't worked deep into a ton of counts. And with 2 away, back up to the top of the order, Kylie Naomi 0 for 3.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent start for O'Leary, and this is something late in Big 12 play. This is what Coach White was hoping to see. I think this is what we've seen out of O'Leary at times this season, but this right here, this is the outing you want. You're not, more than likely, you're not going to go out against these top 10 teams and come out unscathed, right? You're going to give up a run here or there. You could probably give up a home run to the likes of someone like a Febri, you know, but I like that double tag right there. The rest she's been able to keep in her control.
O'Leary yet to throw a 3-ball count today.
There you go.
2-0 offering coming up to Naomi. Texas came into the game averaging 7.5 runs per contest. The Cowgirls not far behind at 6.5 runs per game. Both offenses have been held somewhat in check.
Not a bad idea by Naomi there. Texas corners playing back at the bag even before that pitch. Still are. Just 1 strike.
3-1. That'll be a long strike. Naomi has driven in 24 runs on the season. Payoff pitch, and we'll do it again. And Texas has won 26 out of the 27 games they have played here at McCombs Field this season, hoping for some more McCombs magic today. Tedder is there, and here we go. Bottom of the 7th inning. The 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up for the Longhorns. Down 2.
Dynamic athletic cultures in the nation. We've got some work to do, and I can't wait to get started as your new Texas head football coach. Join us by placing your 2021 season ticket deposit today online at texassports.com/tickets.
Courtney Day leading off the bottom of the 7th inning. Texas looking for their 14th come-from-behind win this year. Day 1 for 2 with a single. The Longhorns haven't lost by more than 1 run at home in 2 years.
I think if you're Texas, you're looking at this part of the lineup. Every one of these batters, 6 through 9, has a hit on the day. So you're feeling pretty good about your chances, at least going up there and putting up a fight here.
Carrie Eberly with 4 strikeouts, no walks. That 1 earned run allowed has given up 8 hits. But 7 of those 8 hits have been singles. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
You can just feel it. Reagan White, fist pumping just on the 2nd strike. You can feel it in the air, right? You know this is a big game. You're feeling that adrenaline from both of these teams. Love the enthusiasm.
Again, Texas trying to pull within 1 game of Oklahoma State in the Big 12 standings, with only 5 more remaining in the regular season. As they jockey for postseason positioning. Texas 9-3 in conference play. The Cowgirls 11-1. The 2-2 today. Carrie Eberly has only lost once this season and once last year, 26-2 during her time with the Cowgirls. Day snared by Pennington over at 3rd. There's that strong Oklahoma State defense coming up big again.
Yeah, off the bat, you thought that one was going to get through the left side. Pennington said, not today. Great read right from the get-go. It has everything to do with that first step. Big first out there for Oklahoma State.
They entered the game with a .973 fielding percentage behind Eberly. Tied for 29th best in the nation. The Longhorns down to their last 2 outs. Here's Colleen Sullivan. She singled in the 3rd inning off of Eberly. Sullivan hitting .375 in this career year at the plate. Texas has gotten at least a hit off of Eberly in each of the last 4 innings. Sullivan takes one to center field. Factor reaches up and makes the grab. And there are 2 outs here in the 7th. Factor has made a number of nice plays in center, and here we go in the opener of this huge Big 12 matchup. between number 12 Texas and 9th ranked Oklahoma State. It'll be up to Caitlin Washington to keep the game going. Washington 1 for 2. She singled in the 5th. Getting just her 2nd start of the year in center field today. Her first start for the Longhorns in 2 weeks. Again, Texas hasn't lost by more than a run here at McCombs Field in 2 years.
That's incredible. 53 games there. Just been so dominant over the past 2 years. I think a lot of that, you go back to, of course, in 19 and in 20, you have Miranda Ellis in the circle for a lot of those W's and a lot of those games. But again, just goes to show you also, there's not a lot of losses there either.
The 1-1 to Washington, pitch number 100 on the day. Tied her up, and the Horns down to their final strike.
It's a great pitch right there, just working away to Washington. She was anticipating it going away again, and she just sneaks it right in on her hands.
Carrie Eberly looking for her 14th complete game of the season. And she's got it. The Cowgirls take game number 1, 3-1 behind a gem from the preseason All-American as Carrie Eberly improves to 17-1 on the season.
Yeah, this is all about Carrie Eberly. She comes into the game with a .81 ERA. She was able to keep Texas at bay. Yes, Texas still had the 8 hits, but she was able to sprinkle them around and only give up that 1 run. So excellent job in the circle. And then, of course, you were able to get that extra run by Allison Febri with that home run. A great game and performance by OSU all around.
Game number 2, weather permitting, set for noon on Saturday here from McCombs Field. The Horns will try and get revenge for Megan Willis. I'm Alex Loeb. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.